Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Fires upfield into the end zone. It is caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown! IND1!
A 43-point night for Tyrese Halliburton.
How do you like that, partner?
Galloway drives all the way to the hole, throws it up, got it! Indiana's got their first lead of this contest.
I mean, that's a goddamn Emmy winner right there.
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hey, everybody. Welcome aboard. It is Thursday, October 19th. Appreciate you being aboard with us. Don't forget Indiana Sports Speed Radio, powered by Andy Moore Honda, your number one Honda dealer. Go to andymoorehonda.com to get more to your door and the best in new and used vehicles. They are great. Go see my guys, Rich, and the guys all over there. It is truly one of the best places you can go. Very relaxing. Appreciate everybody jumping on early and often for the golf club or the Andy Moore Honda hotline as well, as we come to you from the confines, high atop the 18th fairway at the golf club at Eagle Point Studios. Appreciate everybody jumping on. Like I said, Fred is always first in line from over in Easton, the Easton Assassin, Easton, Pennsylvania. Kent from Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Larry from Las Vegas, Larry. Just going to call him Las Vegas Larry. He's giving him a big shout out to his Las Vegas Aces winning. They won back-to-back WNBA World Championships last night. I saw that was on. It was ironic because I was up getting something to eat at the clubhouse and sitting next to a friend of mine, and they had the warm-ups for the WNBA for what seemed like went on for an hour. We kept looking up and like, damn, they're still showing warm-ups? They don't show warm-ups of NFL, of NBA games like this. It was like, wow. But anyway, just a little early morning bitching and moaning. It's like the morning coffee. Got to have that. Matt, jumping on. We appreciate you, brother. Forrest from South Georgia on. Our head of marketing, Pete, down in a rainy day in Cicero. Fred says Trace Jackson Davis started and gets a double-double in a Warriors game last night. We'll check that out. Tony from Barbecue Rich, Owensboro, Kentucky. John's over in Southport, just below Indy. Our man Kevin down in southern Indiana, Jeffersonville. Scott in Owensboro. Got a couple of guys serving up some barbecue. Kevin says that Boogie's going to be a Hoosier tomorrow. Well, we'll talk about that, and we'll see. Caleb, appreciate you, brother. Ed as well. And the many, many more that will be joining us. And I don't say this enough, and John, I'm going to have to get on you to start reminding me. We've got to start reminding people to, for those that listen and are not subscribed, to please just subscribe to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on, if you find it on YouTube. It helps immensely. I assure you it's grateful. We're grateful for it if you do that, because we have 70% of our listeners on there are not subscribed. So it would be of immense help, and we'd greatly appreciate it. Rutgers, we'll talk about Rutgers football as Indiana will take on the Scarlet Knights Saturday at homecoming. The Colts officially announced what we kind of already knew. Their number one draft pick, or their top draft pick, Anthony Richardson, quarterback, he gone for the rest of the year. Hoosier Hysteria, of course, on the docket. Oklahoma State wants and deserves an apology. Was it our show that we were talking about? Someone was on here talking about how Oklahoma State was the one that got screwed, or was it me from reading an article?
The one thing I remember, and maybe this wasn't even this show, but I mentioned Oklahoma State losing to to Kane Womack's South Alabama team. It's the only thing
No,
I
I'm
remember
talking about
it.
basketball. This
Oh,
goes
yeah,
back
well,
to
I
the
don't
basketball
think it's the most.
NCAA investigation of it. When I was talking about Bill Self, but I may have just been repeating some stuff out of that article. But anyway, Oklahoma State now wants an apology from the NCAA. Which they're not wrong. Mike Boynton, whose Oklahoma State team was banned from the 2022 NCAA tournament for its connection to the FBI's 2017 investigation into college basketball corruption, said the NCAA owes his program an apology. Hell, a little more than that. After Kansas last week became the latest school to avoid major penalties stemming from the scandal of which they had them dead to right. It was like at least a minimum of 4 of the highest violations you can have. And they skip with study hall afterwards or something like that. I mean, it was nothing because they're NCAA again. I mean, what are you going to say? Gutless. The IARP did not issue any postseason bans or significant penalties in the case it adjudicated for LSU. They didn't make a strong-ass offer, I guess. Louisville, who payments went to, I can't remember his name now, John. Arizona, Sean, Lil Rhodey's brother.
Whose name are we forgetting?
Back Louisville, the kid that got paid the money, but it was his dad who was doing all
Bowen.
Yes, Brian Bowen Jr.
Yes.
Brian Bowen Jr. wasn't. No, but no postseason ban. Arizona and North Carolina State, all schools that were tied into the FBI investigation. Oklahoma State chose to work with the NCAA and got a ban. And all that they did was had an assistant that took some money from a financial planner. What a joke. That is, it's basically like if you ever admit anything, no matter how small, the NCAA will make an example of you so they don't have to fight the fights against Louisville, Kansas. Let's go back to North Carolina and their 18 years of academic fraud. Let's talk about Zion Williams and his parents moving from an $800 a month home where they lived in South Carolina up to a $5,000 a month home in Durham, North Carolina, along with an Escalade, a Mercedes, and I cannot believe the other vehicle that they acquired during this time. No, just a coincidence. Just a coinky dink. It's just the NCAA is, I don't understand their point, their reason for existence, to be honest with you. I can never remember the kid's name from Indiana who it's probably been at least 4 years ago. Indiana simply forgot to file an administrative piece of paper for him, and he was banned from playing. I use the word banned for an entire season because this piece of paper didn't get in on time. That's right. Yet Bill Self, I'm gonna start calling him. I'm gonna start. I don't want to be like. I'm gonna start giving nicknames to certain guys. Bill Self-Righteous. Got Lil Rhodey and Bill Self-Righteous. Each of those are for different reasons, but these teams did not remain so dominant accidentally. That I assure you. There are very, very few teams. Michigan State, one of those. They did do it the right way. I have no doubts about Tom Izzo. Indiana, obviously they weren't cheating. Maybe they should have been. But there we go. That's out. Hey, on the program today, Matt Taylor from the Colts will join us. Of course, I mentioned Anthony Richardson. He's done for the year. Jeremy Gray from Indiana Athletics will join us. We're going to talk about the Hoosier Hysteria, Do's Doge, what's going to be happening, this, that. We need to get you up to speed on. I'm trying to talk John into playing some Gucci Mane. Some Gucci Mane today. Chris,
Gucci Maning it up. But if you're a listener and you want to hear the world-renowned Gucci Mane, feel free to listen to him on your own time. We're not getting demonetized today.
Let's see. I may have to pull him up. A buddy of mine sent me apparently some Gucci Mane music that I'm supposed to listen to. But I'll try to do that. Chris Denari will also join us on the program. Looking forward to that, as always. And, of course, we've got you and your questions. Heading back to the Andy Moore Honda hotline.
Ooh, you're talking about nicknames. I see another good one for Bill Self. Dollar Bill Self.
Ooh,
Craig
there you
sends that
go.
in.
There you go. Yep. I like Bill Self-Righteous. Or we can combine those. Dollar Bill Self-Righteous.
Or Bill Selfish.
Ooh, Bill Selfish. Ooh,
him having the last
coming.
name Self really just invites it in for
oh my
all
God
sorts of things.
Just keep bringing those. Bill all to himself.
Yeah.
Keep going on and on, man. Oh, where's this? Jack Graham in Tennessee now, SEC land. Yeah, that's right. Hey, that's kind of, I'm not going to lie. Back in my rodeo days, that just went without saying. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But by cheating, we just meant if you got away with something that wasn't caught by the flagger in the arena, because everything has to be legal catches and you got to have a dally and all this and that. But if you could get away with something real quick, hey, you're not telling on yourself. That's the key. Don't tell on yourself. That's probably not what I should be preaching. So, hey, we got to take a break. I cannot thank you enough for being with us. Looking forward to another great lineup and plenty to talk about. Matt Taylor should be joining us next from the Indianapolis Colts. And we're back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market. I love the first segment. It rolls by so fast.
It does.
Maybe it's because it's just me running off at the mouth. Odds to win the national championship. Kansas plus 1,000. Michigan State plus 1,200. Kentucky plus 1,200. Duke plus 1,400. Purdue plus 1,600. Arizona, UConn. Anybody but no, not anybody.
You know, Louisville already had their first exhibition game last night.
Is that right? Well, that's worthy of talking about.
See if I think they played a team. They played Simmons College. I don't even think they're not in your typical division.
They're an NAIA, bro.
I don't even think they're in NAIA. Let me see what they're in.
That would be sad and borderline illegal.
Let me see. Simmons College. Let me see.
It's not even coming up. Simmons University came up.
I'm on their website. I'm trying to see if they lost 91-50.
That ain't bad for.
Well, I mean, Louisville did what they needed to do against a team like that, of course.
A high school team.
What the hell division are they in? Because when we were talking about yesterday, Nick was saying he didn't know what division they're in, but he knew it wasn't Division 2, 3, or NAIA. It could just be like an HBCU division because they are an HBCU.
Well, I was kind of thinking that they were an HBCU, but not.
Here we go. They are in the. I just saw it. Well, apparently they're division. Hold on, they're in the NCCAA Division 2, which is the National Christian College Athletic Association. But they're not even Division 1 in that. They're Division 2.
They're in the what?
Exactly. All right, here we go.
For just $299. That's better than a birdie. But you don't have to be a student to play at Eagle Point. Go online to set your tee time or call 812-824-4040. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by RE/MAX Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore.
Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks a lot for joining us here on this Thursday. Appreciate you being with us, of course, no matter where you are and how you're listening. If you're on radio, listening on radio on our good friends down in Evansville, 97.7 ESPN, The Ref, up in the corner of the region, 12:30 a.m., 104.7 FM, WJOB, the voice of the region. Across to Fort Wayne on 1380 The Fan, 1480's sports station. And if you are listening there in Fort Wayne, make sure you stay tuned after the show for Brett Rump. He has tickets to give away each day for Foreigner coming up at the Coliseum on the 24th, which would not be a bad concert to go to. Also, make sure you catch Caleb and Kenny each morning there in Fort Wayne. On the morning show. Speaking of concerts, I was texting a friend last night about something, and they were just said, "Oh, I'm busy. I'm over in Brown County, Indiana, Nashville, Indiana, for a concert." They built a new concert facility over there, a small one. You know, they used to have the little Nashville Opry, which was cool. But do you know who was there, John Boy? I know you don't, but you're going to find Collective Soul.
Really? Okay, it's pretty interesting. I like that type of band.
Well, I was like, that's kind of pretty good for
a small town Nashville, Indiana, right there.
Yeah, for those of you that are outside of Indiana listening or outside of the Bloomington area, the Little Nashville Opry was there forever, and just, of course, a play off of the Grand Ole Opry. But that thing was a long-time establishment. I personally saw George Strait there in like 1981.
Wow.
When he was like just had a song or two out. And I've said this before because it's funny, but I remember leaving with my girlfriend at the time. I was like 19 or whatever. And her brother and his wife or girlfriend. And I'm like, man, he's good, but he'll never make it. He just stands there and sings, which is what he did then and what he would do for the next 30 years successfully, I might add. But the Little Nashville Opry burned down some time ago, but they have built a modern state-of-the-art facility over there. Louisville played Simmons College last night in an exhibition. They're already getting it going. And I mention that because it's very possible Indiana could end up playing the Cardinals in New York. Louisville coming off of a very, very bad season that they would certainly like to forget, John.
It's horribly bad. Yeah, only 4 wins last year.
That's reminiscent of Indiana going back to the beginning of the Tom Crean era after the mess with Kelvin Sampson.
Yep.
But that again just reminds me of this NCAA crap.
Because Louisville self-imposed a tournament ban.
And guess what? Guess what Rick Pitino begged them not to do? Do not do that. He said, do not do this. Do not settle. He told them, don't do it. And he was right. He might still have a job. Who knows? Yeah. Had that happened, that would have changed Indiana basketball. Romeo Langford would have been at Louisville.
He would have been. Yep.
And what would
and
that
maybe
have been?
Archie Miller. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe Archie Miller would have been let go earlier than he would have.
I was
initially
thinking that, but I don't think Indiana fans would have been that fortunate. I mean, 4 years is almost as quick as you can get rid of a guy. How long was? Oh gosh, darn it, Bill Gillespie at Kentucky?
It's a good question.
It was definitely not longer than 4 years. But that's about the time they're like, yeah, you got to go.
Anyway, I'm trying to see who did well for Louisville last night. So Louisville's
91.
Go ahead.
Well, they win 91-50.
Yeah, they won 91-50. They had 4 guys in double figures: Curtis Williams, Mike James, J.J. Traynor, and Trey White. They got a couple good new guys. Sky Clark, who some of you may remember, who was on Illinois' roster for the beginning of last season.
Also a Montverde product.
That's right. Jumped in the transfer portal, ended up in Louisville. Also, Dennis Evans, formerly committed to Minnesota. He's a 5-star, by the way. Ended up decommitting and going to Louisville as well. Caleb Glenn, a lot of Indiana fans familiar with Caleb Glenn. Mike Woodson was trying really hard to get him to come to Indiana. He had 9 points last night.
Is that the kid from Louisville?
Yeah, he's from Male High School. Ended up going to the prep school in Indiana. I can't think of what it's called. In LaPorte, Indiana.
LaLue.
So, yeah, Louisville did. I mean, they did what they needed to do. They took care of business against a team that they have no business being in a close game with in Simmons College. So we'll have to keep an eye on what this team ends up looking like, because last year they were probably the worst Power 5 team in college basketball, and it probably wasn't even close.
I would agree with you without question. Of course, Boogie Fland's recruitment, I think it's come to an end, his recruiting. Now it's just where the cards, let's see which way the cards fall, whatever you want to say. His announcement coming on Friday, tomorrow, 2 p.m. And I continue to waft on it, think on it. You know, I'm talking to people, but what cracks me up is I go to the Hoosier.com and the chat boards, the premium chat boards. You just can't be surprised how many people have a source. I've never seen so many sources and so many people with sources on something that's happening in New York. First of all, I'm like, oh, okay. You got a source and you got a source. It's like Oprah handing out
literally
source.
Anybody on Twitter.
You get a source. You get a source.
Anybody on Twitter can just hide behind their profile picture that isn't even a photo of themselves, and they can say anything they want and they can't get in trouble for it, even if they're wrong. I mean, yes, people can say what they want and talk about how stupid it is for them to just kind of throw things out there, but they're shooting their shot, because I mean, who's stopping them from saying silly stuff like that? Nobody is.
Nobody.
That's why
And
Twitter is the land of. I don't
I
really know.
really-
It's the land of. Oh, it's a wasteland. Really, is what it is.
I don't like when people hide behind fake names or when they're not who they are. You know, trust me, nothing I have is not known that it's me saying it. You know, I put myself on the line there. There is I don't know what to call them, a Twitter personality. Well, it's albeit like Chronic Hoosier, who he just wants to maintain his anonymity for other reasons. That's different.
Yeah, and some people use that
He's not
anonymity for
making-
good reasons.
Yeah, he's not doing all this stuff to make prognostications and all this stuff and making claims. He just is. It's like, do you know what I miss so much? I miss Captain Andrew Luck horribly. That was the greatest Twitter account I've ever personally seen. He would only speak once, maybe twice a week, but it was always hilarious.
I really enjoyed the. It was an account called Creany Tom, and they were obviously a parody of Tom Crean, and that ceased to exist after he was let go from Indiana. But that was one of my favorites. There was also a really good Kevin Wilson account. I think it was just called Fake Coach Wilson, but I enjoyed that one as well.
Okay. Let's see. People asking about favorites. Andrew Barth will join us tomorrow in the second hour. He is with the rival site in New York, has contacts at a certain high school.
He has real sources, as you're saying.
I'm not claiming that anybody else's sources aren't real. I just mentioned the fact that it sure seems like they have a lot. And it's funny. People like, well, there you go. I called it. Well, you're guessing. It's a 50-50 coin toss here. I mean, and you've already got guys that have, like Andrew Barth, who has crystal balled Boogie Fland to IU, and he's just not changing. Rob Cassidy from Rivals, he's got Kentucky a slight lean. He's not going to change because there's nothing to change. I think that it's done, and that it was done the moment he set his announcement date of this Friday at 2 p.m. So I think the decision was done. He was just waiting for his coach to return. I felt personally I think Indiana's good position. I think Indiana gets him, but don't hang on that. That's not because Boogie Fland has whispered in my ear. He has not. But we'll get more when we talk to Andrew Barth tomorrow, and I look forward to that. Giving you guys a chance to we'll get in before the decision is made. And no decisions yet, but I'm thinking, depending if the players are going to be players, if the students are going to be lining up early enough, I'm trying to think of possibly doing the show from out at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. But I'll have to be inside. I'll have to be able to get in because it's the weather is taking a turn. I'm guessing it could be a good night Friday. They usually bring a few surprises. It was 2 years ago in Woody's first year when Isaiah Thomas made his return and made that great speech. Boy, you know what that means. We need to include that, John, in the opening clip. Just part of that.
Maybe we can do
show
that
out
next time we update
every
it.
single night. That was a great talk he gave, and I mean he may have tried to memorize it, but he didn't have any cue cards. He was going straight up. Let's get to the Andy Moore Honda hotline. There's a lot of George Strait was a good one. Where did I go? I lost. First of all, I went Jack Graham. I don't know why I didn't see what that said. Boeheim going to ESPN as an analyst. Oh, God, we got to listen to him. Seriously? Is he going to just go on there? Well, I don't know. They're doing this. And he's just the whiniest. I think of Jim Boeheim, and I remember, and this was actually in Louisville when I was I think I was working for CBS Sports at that time. But anyway, walking into the Freedom Hall, you'd walk down this tunnel, and there's Boeheim. And I remember asking him about a player of his, and he's like, he just kind of rolls his eyes. I'm like, wow, what a dick.
Did he pick his nose right after? Because
Thank God.
He's been caught doing that a few times.
Well, have you seen the size of that thing? It's like going into Mammoth Cave, man, or Squire Boone Caverns. You could drive a truck in there and turn around.
No, they didn't shut down Squire. They had to do something to Wyandotte Cave down in Indiana. It's no longer called Wyandotte. It's called something else.
I did not know that. I did not know that. Tony, shout out. There you go. Pink Floyd.
That's right. You're wearing Pink Floyd today.
Philip, Bill Self does equal BS. It's funny.
Right. See, there's so many nicknames you can just
give
to man.
When I sent out a tweet the other day about I reposted that story that I reposted yesterday. I just referred to Bill Self as BS, and that is probably, oh no, it would be a B with a $sign.
There you go, man.
Bam. That's that's what I do. That should be his logo. BS with a $sign. So Kevin says Crystal Ball is Fland in Queen, Indiana. Which Crystal Ball are you speaking of? Whom? Where? Multiple sites. I know that Rivals.
I'm going to pull up the Rivals Future Cast, as they call it. Crystal Ball is not what we call it. It Rivals. That's somewhere else. We call it the Future Cast. I'll let you know what we've got currently for both guys here in just a moment.
Justin says he's been seeing a few write-ups in the last few days that are saying UK has the edge for Boogie. That's what I'm saying, man. I promise you, if you go, I tried to get a UK guy on the show, but I've not been able to do that, which makes me wonder a little bit that they're not as confident. I also have thought, okay, would he really do this on the same day as Hoosier Hysteria and kick Indiana in the nuts, a few hours before their big kickoff? And that's what it would be. Let's be honest. It would be a kick right in the mommy and daddy button, as he said on what was that? $1 million, that movie.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
real
man.
quick, I've got two future casts predictions for Boogie Fland and Derek Queen, both from Rivals, obviously. Rivals currently has Boogie Fland 100% future cast to Indiana. That's from 4 different people affiliated with Rivals. And then for Derek Queen, you got 5 different people who have said that
Maryland.
Derek Queen will be going to Maryland. Now, granted, if you look at the difference, like what I'm looking at, a lot of the future casts for Boogie Fland have been within the past 2 or 3 weeks. And the ones for Derek Queen, the most recent one that's been given was back in almost a month ago.
I was going to say, those have been that way for him forever, and they've just left him alone. They do get the last visit, which is this weekend, which is always an advantage. But, and you heard Rob Cass, who was it that said they'll, or maybe it was Andrew who told me, somebody, that they'll end up trying to throw the bulk of their NIL at him. We'll see. If they land Boogie Fland, I'm not sure it's going to matter because he will not be hurting that way. Hey, we've got to take a break. Up next, Jeremy Gray from Indiana. We'll talk about Hoosier Hysteria coming up tomorrow night at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Sorry, Jeremy. I can't shut my mouth.
Hey, no problem. No problem. It's actually your job.
Mr. Back in Black?
Yes, Back in Black. That's right.
You know, all right, how much crap I saw on the rivals board about the black uniforms, which I was like, what is wrong with you people? I think that they looked good. I liked them. But people were like, well, that's Purdue colors and yada, yada. I'm like, quit howling, quit yelling at the moon or whatever. I mean, I loved them for a one-off. I just love the black uniforms. It goes with about anybody's color scheme. You can put it into about, except for someone like Notre Dame, maybe. But anyway, I loved it, and it just cracks me up how some people complain about it.
I do appreciate the fans' passion and an understandable distaste for Purdue colors and all that kind of stuff. One thing I would say is that, the team did wear black at various times in football, and everybody thinks of the Cam Cameron years, but like going back into the 40s and stuff, you look at the old pictures of George Taliaferro and Ted Kluszewski and some of those great teams, they wore black. And it's been
tell it because it's in black and white.
Yeah, and it's been a baseline color for a lot of different things, as well.
It's neutral. It's a neutral color.
And we're never going to make it a main part of the palette here.
No, but I liked it as a one-off. But I will say this, and I know that they're no longer available. I missed the chrome helmets.
You know what? I like the chrome helmets. I was a pro chrome helmet guy. I remember when we revealed those to the team, and Shane Wynn fell out of his chair. So like I knew that the players liked them too. The issue with the chrome helmets is actually helmets are. This will be people saying I use cheap about it, but
they're expensive.
They're very expensive, and having helmets that you can interchange with decals and all that kind of stuff to change the color of them is more. And you have to break in helmets. That's a thing people don't realize is that you actually have to break in helmets like you do a baseball mitt. You can't just go out there.
That I guess I didn't realize because when I was playing, those suckers had already been broken
Your high school
before
coach
me.
did not care. Yeah. He did not care.
But they did have face masks on them. I can tell you that.
That's right.
I should have saved this for the show.
Should put last on a plate, but in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering, serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas. Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of Wow Food Group. This segment is brought to you by Metalworks Brewing Company. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back. It is Thursday, October 19th. Cannot thank you enough for being with us here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio, high atop the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Joined now by Jeremy Gray, the Senior Athletic Director, Associate Athletic Director for Indiana, in charge of communications and virtually everything you see or hear. In the break, I should have saved that for on air, but I mentioned to Jeremy that he's wearing a good-looking black-based IU shirt, and I mentioned how on some of the boards, I noticed the people were just some, and these were all, I'm going to call them veteran fans, did not have as much quote unquote love of the black unis, which I thought that they looked good. I like them for a one-off, and comparing them to Purdue is dumb because everybody has that in there, so it has nothing to do with Purdue, number one. And I just like them. And I missed the chrome helmets, but and you explained that as well why. But it is to have a helmet that you wear once or twice. You've got to be Oregon or who gets probably helmets shipped in daily. I mean, good God, how many different helmets do you think they probably have?
Quite a few. I was a huge fan of the chrome helmets, and I was telling you in the break that I oversee video here, and the reveal video of that where Shane Wynn actually passed out and fell out of his chair is one of my favorite reaction shots we've ever had doing social media here. I love the chrome helmets. The one issue with the helmet, well, there's two. So one is helmets with interchangeable decals are kind of the optimal way to switch up your helmet design for a couple of reasons. One, the cost, and this might be people saying I use cheap. But the other thing, and maybe more significant, and I don't think the average person knows this, you have to break in a football helmet.
I did not know that. I'm telling you, I actually did not, because I only played in high school. But and as I told Jeremy, trust me, when our helmets, they were broke in. These babies did not come out of a box from Adidas. They came off of a shelf that you had to spray with Lysol. So it was, but
and I appreciate the fans, loving the red and white or the cream and crimson. And, there's my feeling about whenever we roll out an alternate uniform is if 60% of the people like it, that's probably a win. And it did seem like there was a bit of a divide age-wise on it. And, reasonable minds can disagree. I put out a tweet that I do think fast and strong people who are about 17 years old tended to like the uniforms, and maybe as a one-off that was worth it. And other people might disagree. But the uniforms are, a thing that people really do care about. And it's part of the passion for the program.
Rudy the Boxer points out Notre Dame did wear alternate black basketball jerseys once, so there you go.
They did. And a lot of iconic programs in football and basketball have flipped to a one-off black. I mean,
it's just a neutral color, people. It's a neutral color.
Wore black. Yeah, the Boston Celtics wore black. So
and let's be honest. It sells more merchandise.
Well, then the criticism would be like, well, why didn't the apparel provider have that available? And maybe next year we'll see.
Absolutely. Let's see what else. Oh, and how about this? How about candy striped football pants?
That would be a look. That'd be a look.
I just thought of that, and I'm thinking. It just, again, that would not be something. That'd be a one-off. But man, I wonder what that would look like with the a crimson jersey. I don't know.
It would definitely get a reaction. The one thing I will say is that it takes 18 months from design to concept to approval to production of the uniform. So if we were to do candy striped football pants, you're not going to see it until, here's my math, probably mid-season 2025. Yeah.
There you go. So, but now I want credit for that idea. When that happens.
You know what? I'm all about dishing out the credit.
I think that would be kind of cool. It would definitely be unique. Nobody else. And am I correct? Because I used when I'd watch a game on TV, everybody now has the overalls with the candy stripes of different colors, and I'm like, they're kind of ripping Indiana off.
Well,
somebody told me that Indiana might own the rights to candy stripes.
So there is a we're deep into purchasing and licensing here. I like it. Actually, last night I was at the IU Purdue volleyball match, and there were Purdue overalls that were candy striped. I don't think IU owns the candy stripe outright. I do think there's a specific width of candy stripe in our Pantone red and Pantone white that we do have propriety over. It's one of the top selling pieces of collegiate apparel in all of college sports, which is the candy stripe pants. For a while, it was the top selling piece of apparel for Adidas, period, in college sports. So extraordinarily popular. I would say, not right or wrong, I have been the biggest proponent of candy stripes as well as the script Indiana. In the university and the department, worked really hard to get those incorporated into the university brand and identity guidelines. And I'm like, whenever we redo a facility, whether it's the baseball bullpen or the place where you wait to get the hot dogs, I'm like, throw the script Indiana up there. I love the script Indiana. So,
yep, it is also unique. And one last thing before we get into Hoosier Hysteria, something that I am not in the old Howlin' at the Moon camp. Names on the back of basketball jerseys. Boy, you want to start an argument with people, go there. And I'm like, I don't care, because if I hear one person say, oh, it's about playing for the name on the front, yada, yada, yada. When I was in high school, we also had names on our jerseys. The only time it mattered to me was the first time it was handed to me. And I'm like, oh my God, that's really cool. Never again, when I was wearing that jersey, did I ever think about that my name was on the back there, because I was worried about doing what I was doing, playing. So that is that's a bad argument. I know people talk about tradition, which is cool, but I will point out Indiana is the last team to win a national championship in basketball that is currently playing without names on the back of the jerseys.
Okay. Well, a couple of things. I think, while you have me here, the uniform process, typically speaking, and this goes from everything from football to basketball, all the way down to what tennis will wear. Adidas proposes ideas, and then we either agree to them in limited capacity. Like there's kind of an approval process. Every once in a long while, we had this, a while back where Adidas had an honoring Black culture uniform that we really tried to shove into the Bill Garrett direction. We thought we had kind of a story to tell that way. But typically speaking, it's not IU proposing uniform designs. We're not apparel designers.
Right.
That's just not what we do. So usually it comes the other way around. Adidas, to this point, has not proposed basketball uniforms with names on the back of the jersey. I would say, and I would be on the willing to experiment side of the athletic department, like, whether it's, advocating for a DJ at basketball games or listening to the band members and getting them new uniforms to wear at basketball games. I'm all for that. And we'll get into a little bit of that with Hoosier Hysteria. I don't oversee marketing, but I'm a proponent of those things. I just told you I'm chrome helmet guy. I'm alternate jersey guy. I was cool with wearing black. I do think that I would be an old fuddy-duddy on names of the back of the jerseys. That feels like it would not get to the 60% people like it threshold. And
I agree with you, and I understand both. I understand both sides of the fight. I'm not one of those people that says, "Oh, you're stupid, you're wrong." I get it. I like tradition too. I mean, I love Penn State. Guess what they're going to wear? I'll tell you what they're going to wear.
Yeah,
either a white helmet with a stripe, and that's it. There's nothing on it. Same with Michigan. Same with USC. But some of these things, I'm starting to love the candy striped football pants idea, man.
All right. You know what? When I'm on a call with Adidas and our equipment people are on a call with Adidas, I'll just say, people are voting with their feet and they want the candy striped football pants. We'll see where it leads.
I think you'll sell more. You can sell some capri pants and all kinds of things.
There you go.
Gucci Mane performing tomorrow night, of course. I've got a buddy of mine that I went to school with when we were at IU. He sent me. I'm not quite ready, but he's got me all jacked up to listen to some Gucci Mane that I can listen to later. So I'm going to get into that. Before that, The Hoosier Hysteria festivities begin at 7 o'clock. What time will students start lining up generally for that?
Students tend to start lining up in the morning. I mean, they get ready to go. We want to make sure that students are, safe as well. But one of the great traditions with Hoosier Hysteria here is the student lineup. And actually, Hoosier Hysteria is a little unique. That
very
at
unique.
games, it's typically the students who just line up because everybody else has a reserved seat. Hoosier Hysteria, it's students in the general public.
Yeah, I was going to say it's everybody. Let me tell you, that line is going to be.
And it's always exciting to see, like one of the things, with our basketball social media that we can always count on come Hoosier Hysteria is we're going to do a tracking shot of the lineup. We're going to have photos of the women's basketball players handing out donuts, the men's basketball players handing out pizzas to those lining up, and the bum rush to the seats. In years past, we've done time-lapse videos of that as people have run to their seats. But it's exciting time. People, you can feel it with the weather. It's like turning into basketball season. It's getting a little gray. The leaves are starting to fall, and people are thinking about Indiana hoops. And this is just a great kickoff for it.
But they have the students line up for basketball seats too, don't they? Or when they're lining up there between Simon Scott and Cook Hall there.
Cook Hall and Gladstein Fieldhouse where track and field competes. Yeah, they line up there. We some things we're not getting better at as fast as we'd like, but I think student lineups we're getting a little bit better at. We're not that we want to corral people, but in the past, line jumping was an issue. People leaving trash everywhere is an issue. So we've got a better system of doing that. I'm sure some students will disagree, but it's a little less chaotic from the ingress side.
Is that a first come first serve? Because they get in, they get better seats?
Yes. Are you talking for the games?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a certain percentage of them have a reserve seat. Certain percentage of them have first come first serve, or what we call festival seating type seats. And they want to get there as early as possible to be able to get to as close to the court as possible.
Which is what you want, because the people that are there, they're going to be
they're the ones who dress in costumes and yell at referees, and
they're jacked. They're jacked. They're ready for the game. Absolutely. Ready for Hoosier Hysteria, which comes tomorrow night. Indiana has a lot to celebrate with a new team coming on board with lots of new faces. Also, the recent commitment of Liam McNeely, which can say his name. I hope he signed the NLI, so I can, whenever I talk to IU people, they can say his name, because I know you can't do that until that happens. But and then pending commitment.
I can't talk about any recruits, but I'll blink 3 times if I'm happy about recruiting.
So if you see Jeremy's eyes just stop not blinking anymore, there's a reason for that. Another one, a big one coming on Friday, an announcement, which I wish I had a nickel for every text message I'm getting, even not just from fans, listeners, but old friends of mine. Oh, hey, my buddy at work, and this and that. I'm like, yeah, let me tell you, if I even knew for a fact that I'm going to be whispering in your ear, yeah, here's this one's going this way. That's not happening, people. We're saving that. But we'll hopefully see how that one goes. But a big Hoosier Hysteria is a big kickoff for Indiana basketball. Partly it gives fans an opportunity that don't get to see games a chance to get in. That's a big thing for Hoosier Hysteria. It's tradition. You take over.
Yeah, no question about it. It's one, just bring a canned good and you get into the event, so it's free. IU basketball tickets can be cost prohibitive, and this is a chance for Die in the Wool fans who don't have an opportunity to buy those tickets, especially on the secondary market, let alone afford season tickets to be able to get in the games. But it's also for the season ticket holders that are just psychotic about Indiana men's and women's basketball now. Like it's truly a dual event, and this is a real opportunity. And I also think it's an opportunity to I think people use it as a shopping excursion. They come there and they buy the shirt that they're going to start wearing at the games all year. They're going to go autograph hunting. They're going to try to get their floating head poster. It's just a true kind of a joyous celebration. You actually see people who come from far away, you know, like I'm an IU alum from San Diego, but I'm going to be visiting my family in Indianapolis. And I just wanted to make it, you know, I made my trip coincide with Hoosier Hysteria. So you see that type of stuff. And the student athletes themselves really get geeked out about
it. You guys should put a merchandise stand outside, man.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm an idea man, Jeremy. I'm an idea man.
I don't know enough about the world on, you know, digital transactions outside, you know, but I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. It's a chance to sell more. Shorten the lines once they get inside. More points of sale sounds like a good idea to me, Jim.
Especially if they're outside, if it's chilly, if it's cool. Hey, there's a sweatshirt you can buy right there, a hoodie or whatever. I'm not sure if you have a few extra minutes. If not, we'll let you go. But we've got to take a break. On the other side for a second hour, we'll be back a little bit more with Jeremy. We'll talk more about Hoosier Hysteria. Chris Denari from the Pacers joins us later as well. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Thank you. There was just so much good stuff there. I'm like, oh man, I never really got to talk about Hoosier Hysteria and all that. Some people are not liking the candy stripe pants. Who said that would look feminine? No,
who cares?
Man,
what?
Yeah, you can't. When you level somebody on the field in a pair of candy stripe pants, that ain't feminine, baby. Feminine. I'm gonna have to. I like it. Last season was the first time he broke out his candy stripes for game day in years.
There you go, Robert.
They still fit him.
Oh, Robert's at fighting weight. I like it.
Hey, anybody that could stay at the same weight, congratulations.
Yeah, I work out, and I tell people in the weight room here, I'm not working out to get a good body. I just don't want it to be a worse body tomorrow than it was today. just break even.
I forget who I was talking to, and I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Working out. I'm like, well, golfers, friends that I know, I think I've got a torn meniscus, but I haven't got to check out yet. But I'm pretty sure it happened golfing because of the torque. And I'm like, I'm done. It's over. Who was I talking to? Oh, it was Charlie because he played basketball with some people I know at the Y like 2 years ago. They won a championship. I'm like,
Charlie's good.
Oh yeah. I said, you still playing? He's like, nope. I'm just afraid I'm going to blow an Achilles or something. And I'm like, God, don't say that. I think about that all the time. That scares the living crap out of me.
I used to play softball, and I got taken out at second base on a double play. And I'm like, I think it's time to be done with this. I'm too old for this.
I can remember my last basketball game, and it has been a few years, but we were playing full court, and I'm like, oh, and I was in shape. This has been 10 years or at least 10 years ago. And I'm like, that's it. I'm old. This full court is crap. I'm done. It's over. Half court maybe, but no more. Yeah. Your body lets you know things. It's funny.
It does. It does.
My mind sees something different. Women's soccer
it's wild. It's Jim.
All right, here we go, guys. Just 15 seconds.
We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details. This segment is brought to you by Hank's Pizza Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday, coming to you from high atop the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jeremy Gray, a Senior Associate Athletics Director, kindly joining us here in the second hour. Indiana has Hoosier Hysteria festivities tomorrow at 7, but it's not all. You've got homecoming this weekend with a football game against Rutgers at noon, a game in which Indiana could certainly use in the win column. In the break, I just happened to mention, because normally this is not something we talk about a lot, but the Indiana women's soccer program. I remember when Edwin Van Bennekom came here. I think it was maybe 2019. I did an interview with him, and Indiana soccer was in the dumps, to be honest. Women's soccer was it was just, whatever program. Now they're ranked. Are they leading the Big Ten? Where are they in the Big Ten?
They're 1 point out of first place, but they play the first place team this week, and they've got
1 point out. Think about that, people. Where were they when Edward came?
So they were the last place team in the league. So it's been a remarkable turnaround. And last year, they were an odd team to follow in that they didn't give up many goals, but they really struggled to score goals. And it's like every break did not go that team's way last year. And right from the jump, this team started putting goals in the back of the net, and they're still really difficult to score on. And they're ranked. They're looking to go to the NCAA tournament. They've got a chance to win a Big Ten championship. It's one of the great turnarounds. And I would have to say, if you look at Indiana women's sports since January 1st of last year, everyone has rightly been on the train with the women's basketball program in that remarkable season. But then softball, that has historically struggled here, won 40-plus games, pushed Tennessee to the brink in the regional. Rowing had a remarkable run. I'm the sport administrator for swimming and diving, and they just swimming and diving. They were still good, top 5-10 in the country. And then now, two programs that have historically struggled, Indiana volleyball, which had a tough one last night, but is playing really well. Their RPI ranking was 17th. And then you've got women's soccer with a chance to win the Big Ten championship. And I put out a tweet or an X or whatever you call it these days, that there are not many schools that are good at both volleyball and women's basketball in the Big Ten, and Indiana's got a chance to be one of them. I would have to say that there are no schools that are good at women's basketball, women's soccer, volleyball, and softball. And so it's been quite a run for women's sports at Indiana.
Yeah, Steve Aird has done a hell of a job with the volleyball program. They are playing in the toughest conference in the United States, which I had no idea until I started giving a little love to try to cover as much as I could. I had no idea that the Big Ten, I was like, it's got to be, the Pac-12 or the places where it's warm. I was just thinking warm for volleyball, even though it's an indoor sport, which that's another sport I used to love to play and played out in sand mostly. But when we would go indoors, buddy, that's like going from a go-kart track to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on how fast and different that game is between sand volleyball and indoor volleyball. It is god-awful fast. And I can't imagine playing against players like Indiana and throughout the Big Ten. So congratulations to Edwin Van Bennekom, Steve Aird, daggone it, I'm drawing a blank on her name, coach of the softball coach. She's always
Shonda
talking
Stanton.
about the script. Shonda, daggone it. I apologize, Shonda. She's a great coach. Great coaches, by the way, along the line. Of course, women's basketball, a shot at the Final Four. What is the soccer Final Four called in women? Is it College Cup as well?
College Cup, yes. So it's College Cup. Yeah, a remarkable event. That would be a miracle run, but I do think Irwin should be Big Ten Coach of the Year at the very least, if not National Coach of the Year. If they win the Big Ten Conference from what it was to what it is now, and he doesn't win it, I don't know. We should send some angry emails.
That would give you back-to-back National Coaches of the Year in a women's sport, which would be amazing. The Men's College Cup in Louisville this year. And I'm like, damn it, Indiana needs to make it because it's been nearly impossible to get to Cary, North Carolina over the last couple of years because it is conflicted with football or basketball last year. I think it was when Indiana played Arizona something.
It had a weird time frame because of the pandemic. So they played in two college cups like within 4 months of each other. It was a strange thing. They flipped soccer season. It's too hard to explain here, but
I get it.
In Indiana men's soccer, got off to a sluggish start and had some frustrating results and quirky things not going their way. But all of a sudden, temperature drops 15 degrees and Indiana men's soccer starting to win some matches. And there is no one who wants them on their side of the draw if they make the NCAA tournament.
Hoosier Hysteria coming up. One last question. I just noticed when I watch football games on Saturday and when I'm not covering an IU game, when it's third down, you always hear this, it's third down. Originally, I thought that was Indiana's PA guy. I have come to realize that's not the PA guy, is it? Is that a recorded bit? Because I hear that everywhere now.
I don't know if Rob Lauer is the originator of it, but he's definitely the originator of it at Indiana, and it is him. Like when it's third down here, that is Rob Lauer. Now,
I wonder if he's selling that around the country.
Maybe
I
he
hear
was the
that
trendsetter on that. He does a remarkable job, by the way. I think Rob does an excellent job doing PA for football. It's always been a delight listening to him. He's made it his own thing. He's got a unique style of doing it. He brings enthusiasm, and like the third down and the first down are two kind of iconic calls that are identified with Indiana football, and it sounds like others are joining the party.
Well, if not, or it could be him because it sounds just like him. Because I remember hearing that. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. What was that? That sounds just like the guy I used.
Said because he had to miss a couple of weeks ago, and a guy named Kelly Smith, who does a really nice job as well, sub for him. And not that I'm the guru of the PA stuff, but he said, should I do the first down and third down? And I go, absolutely, you should. So even the sub did it in Rob's stead the one game this year.
Well, but back in the days of Saturday Night Live, when who was the long time Don Pardo. Every now and
the Saturday Night Live band.
Yeah, exactly. Every now and then he'd have to miss, and Daryl, the guy doing it now, Daryl, who used to be a cast member, can't think of his name, but Daryl something or other would fill in for him and just imitate him.
Yeah.
So
you're good.
Enough of that. People want to hear about Hoosier Hysteria. What time will the students start to line up, do you think?
My guess is the students will start lining up. The students and the fans will start lining up pretty early in the morning. We're
because I'm thinking about doing the show out there. I'm like going, if they're out there, if they're out there lining up, I'm like, I'm gonna be out there drinking coffee with them.
So there's food. I'll go through a little lineup before it all opens up. 4:30 to 6:30, there's food trucks outside, so you can get something to eat. 5:30, you can watch the homecoming parade go by. 6:30, the doors open for the general public, so people will be sprinting in there. And then 7 o'clock, kind of that intramural 3-on-3 championship game. They host a Candy Stripe Classic that goes all week of students, so they play while we wait for everything else. And then at 7:30, we turn the lights off and get the party started. And I do want to let people know that I like Gucci Mane. You're going to like Gucci Mane. I know you're listening to him today. But Gucci Mane is not for everybody and definitely not for every age group. There will be a good 20 minutes or so in between the Hoosier Hysteria festivities and when the concert starts. So any family who doesn't want to be exposed to it or anybody who just doesn't like Gucci Mane's music has a chance to leave. And but I do think the students, especially the student athletes, are going to love that component of it. But we're not going to be like maybe some other schools have gotten a little bit of trouble exposing their fans to content they don't want to see. And so if you don't want to see Gucci Mane, you got ample time to get out of your seats and leave, and we give you fair warning.
I had someone ask yesterday, will it add to the crowd? I'm like, well, I said it might add to the younger crowd. I said, but it will also add to the exodus of the quote unquote veteran crowd. So it's a swap off, which it doesn't matter. I said this, and I also said is this day is for the students, the student athletes, the recruits. I said, you get 20 games of the IU pep band playing your old fashioned songs. So, you can deal with some Gucci Mane for a day, man. I'm like open. I'm like, wear the black uniforms and have Gucci Mane. I don't care. Just have fun.
I want fans from age 6 to 96. Let's go.
Hey, you never know. There might be some money. What is exciting for you for this year for Hoosier Hysteria? Every year there's always some surprises. One thing I have not asked anyone, and I guess this is not something you could probably say if it was, but I think it's going to be a good night for Indiana.
Yeah, I do think both programs have pretty substantial recruiting momentum. I think the perception of both programs, both of our fan base, as well as potential recruits, I think Indiana is becoming a cool place to be. And that is a hard thing to get. And I think Indiana basketball, both on the men's and women's side, has it. The one thing about IU, if you're the 11th guy on the team, you're still famous walking around campus here. That is not true at 99% of college basketball programs. And one thing that's been especially heartening for me as somebody who used to call the women's basketball games back in the day is Mackenzie Holmes gets stopped on her way to class every single day. We've got stars here, and it's a night for the stars to shine. And yeah, I think it's a marquee recruiting event, and both programs have been reeling in some good news of late.
Absolutely. Again, Indiana lands Liam McNeely's commitment last week, and they're waiting for others to fall, and they're in line for potentially, if things go right, they could have the number one recruiting class in the country, and that's something that has not happened in the modern rankings age. But it's just been a positive progression for Indiana. Of course, the fans will tell you, and I'll say it. They have to go further in the NCAA tournament this year. It goes with that. Same for the women. Oh my God, if I was on that team, I would still be so damn mad. It would just drive me insane.
An important thing about Indiana is that it matters, and so you probably noticed this working with me. I've never once sent you a message when you've been critical of one of our teams, ever. Not one time. And it's because there's a burden of expectation when you play at a school like Indiana, and that comes with the territory. And I know that Mike Woodson, as well as the players, want to go further in the NCAA tournament. And I think a great sign of health for the women's basketball program is they're no longer this cute story. People are questioning, why don't we come off that ball screen better? How can you not double team in this situation? It's like we got real fans, like fans that are happy when you win and mad when you lose. That means the program has arrived,
part of it, I think, is because they remind you of some of the men's teams of not comparing men and women. I'm just saying the teams themselves are kind of like the old time men's teams, just gritty, grimy, fighting. McKenzie down low, where it's the guards banging. Everybody can shoot. Everybody can shoot on that damn team. Every one of them. It's like, gee whiz.
I think, I'm not giving a preview of men's basketball, but they're going to shoot better than recent versions of the team. So I'm excited to see that.
I think everybody is. And
I'm going to say for three a lot on the mic this year. Yeah. And
if you don't know, Jeremy is also the PA announcer, taking over for longtime legend Chuck Crabb. Has it just been 1 year now, or a year and a half? I guess I should say. So, are you in your third season?
1.2 years. I've been doing it for 1.2 years.
Yeah. How much fun is that for you? Jeremy's a former television sports anchor, like myself, by the way.
So it was a lot of fun. I actually had no intention of pursuing it. It was just at the end of that year. And I was available and could do it. And really, some players came up to me, and then my kids actually came up to me and they said, I'd like you to do it. And I'm like, well, I'll be interested in doing it. And so it worked out that way. It was pretty fun to have two teams win, 96% of our home games last year between the two teams. So it was a great deal of fun. And if you can't be amped up when Jalen Hood-Schifino carves past Zach Edey and knocks down a layup at the end of the game, if you can't get amped up for a moment like that, then, you got to get your blood pressure checked.
When I was in high school, I think I was a sophomore. It's when I started my communications career. We had a radio station at school, but I got to do the PA for our high school basketball because the guy couldn't do it for whatever. I had a blast. It was the only thing that I loved more than that is doing play-by-play, but it was so fun. So if you ever need a fill-in, man, you know where to look. A blast and fun.
You're going to be at the games anyway.
I'm there. Put me in, coach. Put me in.
Well, we'll know what happened if there's like banana peels on the stairs as I walk down. see if I can get injured before a game.
But how much? There's not a lot of prep. The one thing you do that cracks me up is when you announce the opposing teams. It is starting at center, Zach Edey, number 4, Zach Edey. Starting at a forward, Mason Gillis, coach of the Purdue Boilermakers in his 24th season, Matt Painter. And now for your Indiana. You go down, baby. You take her as down as far as you can go.
You try to make it your own a little bit, and no one's for all tastes. But I don't think you can go 10 out of 10 WWE with Indiana basketball. I just don't think that is the place and the environment for it. But the place to get as close to it as possible is the starting lineups. And so definitely turn it up a little bit on the starting lineups. And then basically call it the same both ways, just at half the volume when the other team does it compared to when Indiana does it. So that's my philosophy on it. And I don't know if it works, but we won most of our games, so I didn't hurt the team.
I think people enjoy it. We've got to go to a break. Before we do, Chris Denari is about to join us. He's another one of the greats who does it quite well for Indiana Pacers.
I talk about Chris in my broadcasting class so I teach a sports broadcasting class, and there's a lecture on preparation, and there is nobody who's better prepared, who's got a better method of preparation than Chris Denari. And that preparation, I showed a picture of your call boards or your binder, and then show how you drop in fairly, not obscure, but interesting nuggets into your broadcast. So you and Vince Scully are my preparation lecture people.
Well, I appreciate.
Hopefully you take it as flattery.
I appreciate that, Jeremy. And no, I truly enjoy what you're doing now and what you've done. I had that sort of versatile career many years ago when I was a butler and wearing, many different hats, and you do a great job down at IU. And no, I love the way you guys set the table at Simon Scott Assembly Hall, getting everybody ramped up and ready to go. So congrats to you and all you've done down there as well.
I appreciate it, and I'm excited for the Pacers season.
I really am. I mean, I'm heading down to speak to a sponsor group here in a little bit. But everywhere we go, people are excited. And, this is the great time of year, right? Because you haven't played a game. And but I do think with Tyrese Halliburton and the young guys they have and getting Bruce Brown and Obi Toppin, there's a real hunger. Benedict Mathurin said this yesterday. He goes, I want to get the Pacers back to where they're supposed to be. And we're looking forward to the year, no question.
I went to the Fan Jam last week, and I was expecting an NBA All-Star game, flipping it off the backboard. That was
it was intense.
And they've got 12 guys who can play, so I'm really excited to watch them.
Well, we appreciate it, and hopefully one of my spare nights I'll get down to Bloomington to watch the Hoosiers play.
You got it, Chris. Thank you, Jim, for having me.
Thank you. Jeremy Gray, thank you, brother. Appreciate you very much. Jeremy Gray, Indiana Senior Associate Athletics Director in charge of communication, and he's the man on the mic for basketball games. Of course, obviously, we've got Chris Denari coming up next here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Boy, I need a new chair. The stupid arm is the right arm on this one.
Is it
where it bolts into the actual part of the chair broke off somehow, so it keeps going back. And so I'm like, God, it's got me all twisted and hate it.
Yeah,
first world problems.
My wife got me a new desk chair. It was either last spring or whatever. I love it. So different than what I had.
Yeah, I definitely need. How you doing, man? How have you been?
I'm good. Just ramping up, a lot busier. Did an event last night where Chad Buchanan and I talked to all the ushers and all the part-time people that work at Gamebridge on a respective nights. There was about 600 people.
Wow, that's very, very cool that they do.
Yeah, it was really good. They bring all the ushers and they have a big.
We need to talk about that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, had a big dinner. It was really cool. Going down to talk to the Gamebridge people today. So it's that time of year.
Well, my goal is to get to Pacer games this year to cover those. Do you happen to know Tyler Smith?
I know of the name. He is he one of the bloggers or?
Yeah, he writes. Yeah, he's a writer.
Yeah,
but he is going to be joining the Hoosier.com.
Oh, okay.
As a writer.
Okay.
So
I know the name. I probably have met him, but I
know he covers the Pacers as well as the Colts and whatnot. But but I'm looking forward to getting up there. I wanted to with the Colts. It just, gosh, every time you're like, all right, I'm gonna do this and this, and this entire week, I finished with the show. I'm in this chair for another 10 hours. It's just like, I've got a list. I started with a list of stuff to do that was this long. And then the Big Ten Media Days came. Yeah. And then that list had a second page to it. And the emails were this long. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. The list just grows. It's like a plant.
Did you go to Minneapolis or just?
I did. I did the show from up in Minneapolis.
Okay.
Last year I was the only IU media person they had it there as well last year. I was the only person from IU media core that covers, which is astonishing because Indiana has the largest media following in the Big Ten.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
This year,
here we go, guys.
This year I was one of 5 or 4. Steakhouse, Chop Shock, Market and Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
This segment is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday. It is October 19th, and the great Chris Denari joins us, the voice of the Indiana Pacers, the golden voice of the Indiana Pacers. Wyatt is super excited for Gucci Mane, who is going to be at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Chris, are you going to be making it down for the concert?
I don't think I'll be going down for that concert. I mean, I do know Gucci Mane, but I'm more...
Now you actually knew who Gucci Mane was.
Yeah,
That makes perfect sense because you're around the players who probably listen to Gucci Mane.
Yeah, but here's an interesting one. I can't wait to have this discussion with Bruce Brown. We do a show every Saturday morning, an hour, called Pacers Weekly on 107.5 The Fan, 93.5 The Fan. And it's just, an hour of Pacers talk. And I do an interview every week with a player. And I can't wait to talk to Bruce Brown because, like me, he is a huge country music fan. He loves Luke Combs, Kane Brown. So I can't wait to have this discussion with him because, I was a big Hootie and the Blowfish fan. And when Darius Rucker went country, I sort of followed that way. And I always tell people I'm a new country type person. Darius, Luke Combs, Kane Brown, Luke Bryan, Old Dominion, Mitchell Tenpenny. I could go on and on and on. So
that's funny because I'm the opposite. I'm more of a Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings.
You're stepping back in time, right?
Although I love Chris Stapleton. I'm a big Chris Stapleton guy.
I like Chris Stapleton a lot. And so I sort of, one of those that goes back to my college roots, and I still am. I was a big Earth, Wind, and Fire, Commodores, Kool and the Gang, Sugar Hill Gang.
Back here.
Yeah, Sugar Hill Gang. So
you had the bell bottoms, you're dancing.
Yeah, Nelly does a lot of country now. I mean, Nelly has partnered with Florida Georgia Line, all that kind of stuff. So
I don't consider them country. That's
real country.
Bubble pop, whatever.
Bubble pop country. That's my country. So
Taylor Swift, she used to be country.
She has her own genre, right? I think it's I think it's just whatever she wants to do, she's going to do it well, right?
I'm glad you have to be glad she's not dating a basketball player currently.
Yeah, we'd have a lot of eyeballs though.
But if she was dating a Pacer, yeah, that's right, buddy. Let me tell you, drawing the eyes, that is no question that they're doing that. Yeah, the Pacers have tipped off the preseason.
Yeah.
And preseason, like most things, not indicative of the upcoming season, but it starts to give you a look, especially basketball, different than football. Football, man, you're going to get a quarter of the guys you're going to see. And basketball is not. Those guys, they're out there playing games.
Yeah, I watched a game last night. It was tremendous on NBA TV. It was Golden State, Sacramento at Chase Center in San Francisco. I think it was sold out, and the game went down to the wire, and Steph Curry hit a 3 to win the game. I mean, all the starters were on the floor at the end. The Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton did not play in either of the first 2 games, but he did play on Monday. He'll play tomorrow night. And this is a time where it's one final preseason game. You've got Cleveland in the building tomorrow night, and you're trying to work on rotations. I don't think you solidify things. I think there are a lot of moving parts as the season goes on. But, yeah, I just see, Trace Jackson-Davis played really well last night. But, yeah, I'm excited. I think this is a good group. Offensively, I think they'll match what they did last year. And I think the real challenge for this group is they've got to be a little bit better defensively. They don't have to be great defensively, but they have to be better. Last year, they were 10th in the NBA in scoring. They were 28th in defense. I think if they can be around 20 and maintain, being in the top 10 in scoring, Jim, that's going to be probably worth 5 to 8 games. And that has a chance to put you right around 500 or over 500, either a play-in or a playoff team. I mean, that's the goal for this group. They still want to build. The front office doesn't really want to skip steps, but I think last year they skipped a little bit ahead of where maybe people thought they would be. They won 25 games 2 years ago.
Without question.
A lot of people picked them to win like 23 or 24 games last year.
Well, they end up winning like
they won
40.
35. They were 35 and 47. So,
a lot of people were saying, hey, easy, slow down.
Yeah,
Quit winning so much.
I mean, what really happened was at the halfway point of the season, they were 23 and 18. And then Tyrese Halliburton got hurt in New York, and it really changed the tenor of the season. The other piece is when Miles Turner and Tyrese were on the floor when they played, they were 26 and 22. They were over 500. And so you can see what the record was when they didn't have those two people. So I just think it's a much deeper roster. I've said from 1 to 15, it's the most talented roster that I've seen. It may not be the best roster at the top end, but I think there's a lot of depth. There's been a lot of competition in preseason, not just in the games, but in the practices. Before Monday's game against Atlanta, that's one of the things Rick Carlisle has said. We've had very competitive practices. So, it all starts for real next Wednesday. Washington in town, opening night presented by Kroger, and really, really anxious to get the season started.
How important is it for you and not so much your sidekick? He's just you're both, I don't want to use the word old veterans, but you're both solid veterans. But after being off all year, after doing all the gardening, how important are these preseason games for you guys?
It's really important. We were very fortunate too that we did the first 2 road games on League Pass. They weren't on Bally Sports, but they were available that people could watch. And basically we were calling the game off the other team's broadcast in Memphis and Houston. And then we did Monday night's game, and we'll do tomorrow night's game as well. Absolutely. To me, it's no different than being a player. It's getting back into the rhythm of the game, how the game flows, how you prepare, all those kinds of things. After having not done a game in roughly 6 months, I did a couple of fever games where I was the analyst with Pat Boylan, but I wasn't the play-by-play person. I can tell you that I was tired. There's no question. It's a 2.5-hour game. And so it's just like anything else. You sort of build toward it. We start the season, with a lot of games in the month of November. Very, very important. I'm glad that we don't, from a broadcast standpoint, just don't step into that first game next Wednesday. I'll have had 4 broadcasts under my belt before the regular season starts.
Which I know that you would handle it with the plum. But so now, and the traveling begins, comes back. When is your first trip coming up?
We leave for just a single road game next week. So we open on Wednesday at home against Washington, and then don't play again until Saturday against Cleveland. So we'll fly on Friday, but that's just a short trip. And then the second trip is, I think we leave on Halloween, and we fly to Boston to play the Celtics, and that's just a 1-game trip. Really, the schedule is pretty light from a travel standpoint in the beginning of the year. I think 11 of the first 17 games are at home, and there's really not many multiple game road trips. So that will be in play later in November into December. I do think we have about a couple of 9 to 10 day road trips at some point sprinkled throughout the season. The one thing I noticed about the NBA schedule this year is you have a lot of homestands and road trips once you get started. You have 4 or 5 game homestands, 3 or 4 game road trips. And to be honest, I'd really rather have it like that than bouncing back and forth, home game, road game, home game, road game. Because then it seems like, from a travel standpoint, you're just constantly driving to the airport and then, driving home in the middle of the night when you get back. So I'd much rather, now I don't particularly, I'm not fond of those 13-day road trips, but I don't mind, a 5 to 7 day road trip that encompasses 3 or 4 games.
Why doesn't the NBA play more or any back-to-back games with teams? You go to Golden State, you play them twice.
Yeah, they're doing more of that now. You can't really do that when you're only going to play a Western Conference team once
Okay.
at home, once on the road. But
So you get a West Coast swing. But what
But
about
when we-
divisional?
But when we
or
go to
interconference?
LA, we are playing the Clippers on a Sunday and the Lakers on a Monday. So really, even though that's a back-to-back, it's not a
Yeah,
travel
same thing. It's good enough.
Early in the year in November, playing Philadelphia in back-to-back games in Philly. So I think we have that on maybe 3 or 4 occasions this year where we're in the same city for back-to-back games, and there's a team that comes here. Boston is here. Their 2 visits to Indianapolis are in back-to-back games. So the NBA started to do that, during those COVID years, and I think the response was pretty favorable. And so while they're not doing it all the time, I think teams maybe have 3 or 4 of those on their schedule. I think the one thing that could potentially hurt from a marketing standpoint is that, if you're a season ticket holder on a Friday, you go to the game and you see Boston, would you rather on Sunday go see Philadelphia or see Boston again? So
Yeah, but that's like you look at baseball, man. They got 3 and sometimes 4 game home stands against the same team. So it's a different game every night, especially at the pro level. It's a different game. It doesn't matter if they're in the same jersey.
And I think they're looking at that, and I think that's why they've added it, Jim, is that it helps cut down on the air miles and the travel.
Exactly.
So,
it's a waste of money.
Well, and that way you go into a city, for instance, let's say you play on a Sunday and a Tuesday. We're going to fly in on a Saturday, and that means you're in the same hotel room Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night. That's 3 days instead of flying in on Saturday night and then checking out of the hotel on Sunday. So it does make a lot of sense. And I think as they do it more, you'll probably see more of that.
And that's got to be better for the players because obviously traveling a little harder on the body, does not get the same amount of rest. There's no way as if you're in the same place where you don't have to travel. You can go back, you can chill out, you can relax. You don't have to worry about that, whether it's the mental stress, the physical stress. It just got to be better on the body, which may end up producing a better product.
Yeah, no question. And I think what people don't understand, even though you're on a charter flight and you're staying in nice hotels, your body still takes adjustment time when you're constantly getting into your city or another city between 1 and 3 in the morning.
And especially changing time zones.
And that happens all the time in the NBA. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, you're going up to your hotel room and it's 2:30 or 2:40 or 2:45 in the morning. And sometimes that's in a back-to-back situation, and then there's a game that night. And so the players have to get their rest. And then from a broadcast standpoint, you've got to get up at a decent time so that you can begin your preparation for that night's game. So, but, I'll never complain about it. It's what I've signed up for. Love it. But I do think the NBA has worked through those models to cut down on travel time and those types of things. So as you said, Jim, to make the product better.
My only concern is Chris Denari. I want to make sure he's fresh and ready to go, baby, at all times.
A lot of coffee. I'm very fortunate. I can drink coffee at night and still go to sleep. I can drink coffee at any time during the day. And fortunately, that caffeine, while it keeps me up while I'm working, if I need to go to bed, I can go to bed and it doesn't affect me. So I'm lucky.
I have a cutoff that's usually by 3 p.m. No caffeine, no salt. I don't care if it's Mountain Dew or coffee. It doesn't matter. No caffeine. I'm ADHD. I don't need any help being jacked. So I'm like, yep, nope, eliminate that. 1 or 2 cups of coffee in the morning, and that's it for me, baby. I wish I could. I've known people like that. Just being able to go to sleep at will. My daughter can do that. And I'm like, I look at people like them, like, how do you do that? It's a process for me to go to sleep. It's like I gotta call in some people. I gotta sign some forms. It's nuts. What's up next for you, brother?
On my way downtown. Again, we've got some meetings. I've got some meetings with sponsors. Tomorrow night, final preseason game, 7:00 against Cleveland. Next Wednesday, the home opener against Washington. We've got a special hour pregame show at 6. We'll be on the air at 7. And then when I talk to you next Thursday, we'll be talking about an actual regular season game that was played. So I'm getting ready to start my 18th year as the TV voice of the Pacers. So looking forward to it.
Baby, we've got 2 more till the big cake comes in. And just a reminder, I need to get we're going to be celebrating our 1500th show probably next week. Hopefully next week. It's already happened.
But you're going to celebrate it.
I don't even know exactly when it happened, to be honest with you. I missed the 1,000. We flew by that, and I'm like, I better start doing this. We've surpassed 2 million views on YouTube after being on there for 2 years, so we're extraordinarily happy. 50 states and DC, 40, I forget, 8 or 9 countries and on 5 continents. So we're stoked, but it's thanks to great people like you, my friend. And thank you very much. But the one thing I did not ask is you had a meeting last night that was pretty cool, I thought, or a dinner and all of that with all of the volunteers and ushers that work for these games.
Yeah, it was really cool. The Pacers do a great job in how they work with their employees, whether you're a full-time or a part-time. But there were probably about 600 people having dinner on the floor of Gainbridge Fieldhouse last night. I did a Q&A with Chad Buchanan, our GM. We talked about the season. Todd Taylor, who oversees the business. Mel Raines, who runs the building. They had a fashion show. They showed our part-time employees, what's happening in the team store. Just a wonderful opportunity. All of these people, Jim, I see them on a nightly basis during the year. And they are like family. I mean, Judy, the same woman, stands behind me as the usher. She's done it for years. And to be able to work with all these people, each and every night is special. And so it was really enjoyable to enjoy a night with them last night. And again, kudos to Pacer Sports and Entertainment for how they treat everybody. It was a great night.
Well, great to have you on, man. And look forward to it next week. Good luck to the Pacers as they start the 2023-24 season. And
all right.
Chris Denari's 18th behind the mic for the Pacers.
All right, Jim. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you greatly. Chris Denari joining us. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market.
All right, Jim. See you, John.
Appreciate you, buddy. Have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thanks, guys.
You bet, buddy.
I can do the coffee thing too, like him. You said your cutoff's 3. The latest I'll drink coffee is like 8 p.m. I can do it pretty late.
It's not just coffee; it's soft
caffeine
drinks.
in general.
Yes. I'm like, nope.
I'm sure I'll eventually get to that point. I don't like drinking coffee late, but whenever I've got stuff going on, I do drink coffee late at night. But it is what it is.
I wonder if we could become the intergalactic champion.
What's that from?
Well, more like the intercontinental champion.
Oh yeah.
My favorite of all time. Not Gucci Mane, who I still have up here. I gotta put that down here. I gotta save that so I can get up into the groove. You know what I'm saying,
Big
yo?
Gooch.
Big Gooch, yo.
Look up some of Gucci Mane's biggest hits. I'll look up the names of them.
I just pulled. I had them.
Swear words.
Right. I'm telling you, I got them right here.
He's got a lot of music. for being around only since 05.
There are people that know him very well. This is plus music in that genre has spread so wide.
Yeah.
What was I looking for?
His first hit was Icy featuring Young Jeezy and Boo.
Okay, I'll tell you this. Icy Spice was on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea who that was, but because I had just been seeing the Dunkin's Donuts commercials with her and the dude from Boston and with Matt Damon's buddy Ben Affleck. Your cousin from Boston.
You can anytime you say that now, I think of the little.
Oh, I do nonstop
all the time.
But Ben Affleck is with Icy Spice, and I'm like
Affleck.
Every time she talks, I'm like, what did she say? I never could understand what she was saying.
All right, we'll have about 10 minutes here to wrap things
up. But my
up.
favorite of all time, baby.
I know a gentleman that's going to be a big part of an upcoming card is this man. What was that? Macho Man Randy Savage.
Been so fast you can't even talk about it. Lucky person, out there somewhere is going to win a silver cloud. What a lucky.
Hey, we got to come back from break.
824-4040, the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by the Rusty Gator. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
You go to the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship out with the Macho Man Randy Savage and escape with your life and still lose your
the Macho Man Randy Savage. He was hilarious, man. No reason to have that up. I just think he's funny as hell. There are just some videos I can watch all the time and just laugh, and he's one of them. What a hilarious entertainer, and those guys were entertainers. And to me, he was the greatest when they were out there doing that stuff. You had Ric Flair, who had his deal, which he was pretty good and had some great lines, but the character that Randy Savage, he would be down. It was he'd be all up here. He's kind of like the James Brown of wrestling. So, man, great fun today. Lots to talk about. Of course, Hoosier Hysteria tomorrow at 7 p.m. Boogie Fland commitment coming at 2 p.m. And I have been just inundated with text messages, Facebook messages, and it cracks me up how people who never message you, not talking about listeners, I'm talking about like people that I know or something. Hey, is this, what's the inside word? What are you thinking? I'm gonna hold that in, and then I'm like, yeah, here's the inside word. Just don't tell anybody. First of all, I don't have the inside word from Boogie. We get as close as we can get tomorrow. Andrew Barth on the show with us, who has crystal balled Boogie Fland to IU. That comes in the second hour. Make sure you're around for that. Bob Kravitz as well, Zach Osterman. We'll see if we can get, I don't know if we'll have, you know what, we're probably not going to have time for our friends from Purdue tomorrow this week. I'm sure we'll get back to them next week. But Andrew Barth has already crystal balled Boogie. He was one of the first. It made it got some attention when he did it. He's in New York. And so we'll talk to Andrew, and we'll tell you what we can tell you. But I can tell you one thing. I don't think that he's going to tell you that this is a done deal, because I don't know anybody that knows that unless they're actually inside of Boogie's camp. That's not something that the IU coaches are going to release to anybody. They're not going to betray that trust in him having his moment and not having that absolute for sure decision leak. I kept seeing mentions on the Hoosier.com premium basketball board. Oh, something's going to leak for. No, it's not. Where's it going to leak from? Where's it going to leak from? How many people do you think he's telling his final decision? I can tell you his coach knows. His family knows. I don't know if John Calipari and Mike Woodson know yet, because of the fear of something leaking, not through those guys exactly, but there's no reason unless I don't know. I'm not going to lie to you. Liam McNeely, I was convicted enough. I said, put it in the bank, right? Put that one in the bank. I feel good for Indiana right now where they are. I do know that Mike Woodson has done everything he can do to make this commitment stick or land this commitment. I do know that Indiana they're not going to lose out on him because of NIL. They're going to be right. They're going, I'm sure what they presented was more than acceptable. It's just going to come down to where Boogie sees the best opportunity for getting himself to the next level. I would think that would have to be through Mike Woodson. I know that John Calipari likes to use this list of his, but except for one, all of those guys were already projected into the NBA. That's why Archie Miller gets zero credit for Romeo Langford. He only landed in Indiana because Louisville's mess, and it was the closest school. He was only going to be in school for a year. That way his parents could go to every game, and it was an Adidas situation, and he was already an Adidas guy. Worked out. But speaking of Romeo, he's looking for a job right now, released by the Utah Jazz. So I would say look for him coming to a European team near you sometime soon. Trace Jackson Davis, however, if you've seen, had a double-double last night, and that's huge for Trace Jackson Davis. If he can do that, and that's not something that you can expect every night, but if that's something that he can accomplish in that league, buddy, he's going to get a second contract. And that's where they make their money. Romeo's was in the league for how long? 4 years? Maybe long enough to hit the pension. I'm not sure. He's not hurting. I can tell you that. He's got a couple million. Probably got 5-6 million made. I'm pretty sure I could live on that. So, haven't talked much about football. We'll have to do that tomorrow. Indiana taking on Rutgers this weekend, and what is every game for Indiana is a must-win game. Let's be honest with you. They've won 2 games.
Let me stop you right there real quick, though.
With the exception of Penn State.
And Wisconsin, because if you want to get to that magic number of 6, then you got to beat Rutgers, Illinois, Michigan State, and Purdue. I used to have Wisconsin in that category of winnable games, but right now I'm not doing that. If
I
Indiana
said
can show that they'll improve, then maybe
I
I'll
called
change
them
my
must
mind,
win, not winnable. I called them must win games.
Well, must win is if the goal is 6, and if your goal is 6 and you win 7, then one of them isn't a must win game. But
you know what happens if
definitely,
Indiana wins 6 games, right?
Then Tom Allen's contract gets extended by a year. Yes.
Bingo. Is it just 1 year?
It's a year for every year he gets to the postseason. Correct.
Well, then that would mean into the 25 through the 25 season, because he's already contracted through the 24 season. So if they made a bowl game this year, it would contract him through the following season as well.
Well, I know people
and I believe
complain about
that
but in getting to a bowl game, which you want to have happen to keep your coach, like I know people will bitch about the buyout and stuff, but like if he gets to a bowl game, then that means things are improving.
If you're going in that direction, and I hope that they do. I hope Tom is able to get this turned around. I really do. But I'll be honest with you.
30.
We'll see. Hey, man, I cannot thank everybody enough on the program today. Of course, Matt Taylor will be with us tomorrow, actually. He was not able to make it today. But big thanks to Jeremy Gray from Indiana Athletics. Great conversations about a myriad of things, uniforms and all of that stuff. It was great. I enjoyed it. Chris Denari, of course, as well. And you guys, you always make it fair. And Andy pointing out if Chris Beard doesn't get arrested, Liam Recruitment could have been a different way. Yeah, but I think it still would have ended up the same way. But tomorrow is going to be, we're going to ride the boogie board tomorrow, baby. Go to thehoosier.com. And our new writer joining there, Tyler Smith, you can join him on some conversations as well. But we're back tomorrow to do this again. Cannot thank you guys enough. Without you, we've got no reason to be here. And we are more than appreciative of that. Make sure if you're watching or following on YouTube, please hit the subscribe, like, and toggle, notifications toggle. We are greatly appreciative of that. For John, the producer, Jim Coyle, I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.